One of the things that drives me crazy is how the mainstream media refuse to pick up things that are obvious. So before the elections, the Republicans run ads about how they're going to help the middle class and how Obama's let the economy down and they're looking out for the average guy, etc. And then after the election is over, right after the election is over, they do a big switcheroo and they say, we're kidding, we meant tax cuts for corporations. And the media just doesn't pick it up like, oh, okay, yeah, of course, they all ran on corporate tax cuts. They did? I must have missed it. I was covering it every day. We looked at all these different ads. I never saw an ad for corporate tax cuts. So now, listen to what's happening, right? The Hill reports, after the sweeping GOP victory on Tuesday, the business lobby is hoping Congress will extend dozens of expired tax breaks before a Republican Senate is even sworn in. Before they even come in, they're like, the lobbies are like, yummy for my tummy. Dozens of tax breaks, none of which they ran on, okay? Well, let's see if it's going to happen. Come the new year, lobbyists are already hearing from GOP leaders in both chambers that they'll have a better shot at getting a wide range of priorities to President Obama's desk, including an authorization of the Keystone XL oil pipeline, a repeal of the medical device tax, and some crucial trade policies. Are you kidding me? Who ran on the medical device tax? Show me one ad from one Republican in the country. So if I am elected to office on the first day, I promise the lobbyists, I mean you, that I will take care of the medical device tax. So before the elections, they pretend they're all about you. Right after the elections, the day after the elections, they turn around like, oh, Keystone XL pipeline, corporations, you can ring that up. Medical device tax, ring that up. Trade pacts that corporations have written that favor them and even actually take away American sovereignty and say that corporations don't have to listen to our regulations, to our food safety, our et cetera. Ring that up. They didn't run on that. Did they say, hey, the Republicans, did they run ads? If you elect us to office, from day one, we will give every break to corporations, including tax cuts, and that is our number one priority. No, they never ran that ad. They lied to you. See, the job of the press is to point that out. Instead, they go, oh, I'm neutral. I don't. Democrats say this, Republicans say this. I mean, before they were saying they were for you, now they're saying for corporations, but I can't point that out. That would be unneutral of me. You're supposed to point out the truth, the reality, the facts. Here it is. They didn't say it before the election. Here it is. Okay, more. Many businesses pay taxes through the individual system, making reform there crucial for groups like the National Federation of Independent Business. Now, whoa, did you catch that? It's not just corporate tax cuts they want. That's almost a guarantee. President Obama already agrees to that, right? Now that they've conveniently gotten rid of the Senate Democrats, no problem, they're going to get that done. In that quote, they were talking about individual taxes. Well, a lot of the businesses are run by businessmen, and businessmen pay taxes. So if you're going to do real corporate tax cuts, you're going to have to cut taxes on the rich as well. Did you vote for that? Is that what you voted for? I'm sure they ran ads about that, right? Similarly, Republicans have long been critics of the Dodd-Frank financial reform law. Oh, yeah. So there you go. Loosen regulations on Wall Street. Let Wall Street run amok. They put that in their ads, didn't they? We're pro-Wall Street. Republicans, the minute we get into office, we're going to start making sure that the advantages go right back to Wall Street. Weird that they didn't run those ads. Okay. For other groups, the dethroning of Democratic Senate also gives them even more of a shield against more progressive initiatives, at least on the federal level. The International Franchise Association, for instance, has fought hard against minimum wage increases, which did well on state ballots on Tuesday. I love that one because that's the exact opposite of what the voters voted for. In 4 of the reddest states in the country, they voted to increase the minimum wage. On the national level, they're like, great, mandate to reduce the minimum wage. To not increase it, as President Obama claimed he wanted to do, that's gone. They're not going to do that, okay? And they haven't increased it since 2009. They're not going to increase it. But even the voters of Alaska, Arkansas, Nebraska said increase the minimum wage. Nope, we heard keep it exactly where it is or maybe even decrease it. Democracy, such a wonderful thing. All right. McConnell and House GOP leaders have insisted they'll seek changes to the health care law. That's to be expected, potentially through the budget process known as reconciliation. Now, I included that because they did run on repealing Obamacare. Look, if they were talking about Obamacare, I get it. They ran on that, right? If they're talking about immigration, they ran on that. That would be fair. You like it, you don't like it, that's a different issue, but they ran on that, right? But the reason I included that part is, you remember reconciliation? When they wanted to pass Obamacare through reconciliation, the Republicans were like, no, that is the most terrible thing you could do. It destroys democracy. I can't believe the Democrats are going to do this. Day one, they're like, oh yeah, of course we're going to do reconciliation. Filibusters? We're not going to allow any Democratic filibusters. No, we're immediately going to use any tactic by any means necessary to do exactly what the corporations paid us to do. One more, in case you weren't clear enough. And this one is actually from a Republican himself, NRSC Chairman Jerry Moran. He's the guy whose job it was to elect Republicans to the Senate. I think the country's economy, people's jobs, significantly demand that tax reform. So apparently we demanded it. Well, that's interesting, Jerry, because you didn't run any ads about corporate tax cuts. Hey, if you did, send them right over to the Young Turks. We'll take a look. We'll issue a correction. So you understand they lied to you through and through. Their priorities were not what they said they were. Their real priorities are, how do we help our donors, the giant multinational corporations? They gave us the money to buy the ads that tricked you in the first place. And on top of that, you think the press is going to report on it? No. They're just going to pretend that we were honest about this and these were our obvious priorities all along. And then that was what was in our ads and that was what was in our promises to you. Establishment media, they're such good lapdogs.